Ladies and gentlemen, hit subscribe. This is Friedrich Merz of Germany explaining his country's view of the strikes on Iran.
We share the interest of the United States and Israel in seeing an end to this regime's terrorism and its dangerous nuclear and missile programs. The military strikes are intended to put an end to the destructive game being played by a weakened regime. This is not without risk. We do not know how far the region will be dragged into escalation by Iran's harsh counterstrikes. We take the concerns of our partners in Iran's immediate neighborhood, in the Gulf and in Europe, very seriously. We therefore call on Tehran to immediately end these indiscriminate attacks.
All right, and go to H.A. Goodman, my main channel of almost 300,000 subscribers, for more analysis on all of this. But this is Keir Starmer of the UK explaining his country's view of the strikes on Iran.
Iran has launched sustained attacks across the region at countries who did not attack them. They've hit airports and hotels where British citizens are staying. This is clearly a dangerous situation. We have at least 200,000 British citizens in the region, residents, families on holiday, and those in transit. I ask all our people in the region to please register your presence and follow Foreign Office travel advice. I know this is a deeply worrying time, and we will continue to do all we can to support you. Our armed forces, who are located across the region, are also being put at risk by Iran's actions. Yesterday, Iran hit a military base in Bahrain, narrowly missing British personnel. The death of the supreme leader will not stop Iran from launching these strikes. Their approach is becoming even more reckless and more dangerous to civilians. Our decision that the UK would not be involved with the strikes on Iran was deliberate, not least because we believe that the best way forward for the region and for the world is a negotiated settlement, one in which Iran agrees to give up any aspirations to develop a nuclear weapon.
So that is the reason for the UK, Germany, and France joining. If you look at Reuters, Germany, France, and UK tell Iran to stop attacks. Wall Street Journal, France, Germany, and UK open door to striking Iranian launchers. So this is not Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. And so I'm against all. I am always against military interventions or military actions. I don't want to put the lives of American soldiers at risk. And, sadly, we have lost Americans, and it's terrible. And I don't want that. There is the difference in terms of geopolitics or in terms of modern U.S. history is that President Trump is not Bush, Cheney, Rumsfeld, Clinton, Kerry. They sent Americans to never-ending military conflict. Countless years or decades of counterinsurgency wars and guerrilla warfare where IEDs ended the lives and caused and wounded 30+ thousand Americans or tens of thousands of Americans and took the lives of half to two-thirds of all the Americans killed and wounded in Iraq and Afghanistan were the victims of IED blasts. President Trump is not sending Americans to endless wars. I agree with critics to the extent that, hey, I don't want to send Americans in harm's way. The issue is that the interests of the U.S. and other countries are shared by Germany, France, and the UK. If you voted for Hillary Clinton or Biden. Don't talk about politics or geopolitics or anything like that. Don't talk about being anti-war. You literally voted for the same people who sent Americans to endless wars that you now condemn. So the people who condemn endless wars and critique Trump, many of them voted for the people who sent Americans to endless wars. And who would vote for, if Hillary Clinton was the nominee again, they'd vote for her again. So, that being said, God bless the families and the loved ones of every American soldier affected, especially those risking their lives, and of course who have already lost their lives. God bless those families. That's why I'm always against these military interventions. But Trump Trump is different from Bush. If you don't see the difference, I don't know what to tell you. Anyway, hit subscribe. I mean, if you don't see the difference in terms of, I'm speaking purely only at influencers. Not that they care what I say, and I don't care either. I don't want to call out anybody in particular. But if there's an influencer or a YouTuber or a pundit that actually that told his viewers or her viewers to vote for Hillary Clinton or Joe Biden, they have no room to talk. They have no they have no moral high ground to pontificate about endless wars. End of story. End of story. Because those same people would vote for Hillary Clinton again. Who could possibly, without any, thought process, send Americans to endless military conflict that lasts 20 plus years. Trump is not doing that. There's a difference. Anyway, hit subscribe. In terms of geopolitics, hit subscribe. Thanks, everybody.